In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a drum and bass banger. Now this tune is a collaboration with DJ Youth, so he made the intro and the build-up, and I made the drop. We're going to briefly touch over the intro and the build-up. I'm going to show you the individual stems and how it was all put together, and then we're going to go into the drop and go through that in full. Let's get straight into it. So for the BPM, we chose 174, and then the key we chose F minor. So every element was in that key. So let's look at the stems in the intro. So there's many elements in the intro. There's some drums here, there's vocals here, vocal effects here and ad-libs, and there's instruments, and then there's effects. So let's look at the instruments first. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different elements here. We've got a synth, which I'll play to you. So this is a piano playing chords in F minor, and then we've got an ARP over the top as well. And then we introduce a bass after 8 bars here, like a respace style, playing a pattern in F minor, and it would just be like one note changing. And then that just repeat, and then we have another pluck that comes in here. And another synth here that comes in. And they're all following a similar pattern to the intro, to the synth pluck. And then we've got this drop chord here. And all together it sounds like this. So that is just layered to hell. And then as the intro comes to an end, you can see all these elements getting smaller and smaller. So we're slowly fading out the bass and then the overall volume until there's nothing left just before the drop hits. And we've got a riser here as well that comes in. And the effects are matching that. So the effects are literally just risers and down filters. And then they just repeat, and then we have a more heavy one before the drop. And then we have that repeating throughout the tune, as you can see. So let's have a look at the vocals now. So we've just got a female vocalist in F minor.
You wanna come around 'cause your looks run out and you're feeling down.
And then we've got backing chorus here.
'Cause your looks run out and you're feeling down.
With more reverb on it.
You wanna come around 'cause your looks run out and you're feeling down.
And then what happens is the vocal happens here, and then tiny breakdown before the vocals, we just have the vocal chorus playing with even more reverb on it, and then they all come back in before the drop here, and then before the drop happens, the vocals go away and the risers come in to take over. So in terms of the drums in the intro, we just have some basic breaks. So we've got like a breaks like this, and then some tops to go with the breaks. That's more of an intro style drums, and they stay in for these 16 bars here, and then they go away before the drop, and it's just the tops that come back in here. And we also have the kick drum that comes in after the breaks stop here. And this is filtering in on a filter on the low end and on a filter as well. You can hear it coming in slowly. And then it filters back out here. So now let's look at the drop. So the drop, we have a snare just before the drop here. So one beat before the drop. And then we have the drums first. So let's look at the drums. So we have a kick drum, which is from my production suite available on my website, the Havoc production suite, and you can hear it here. So this plays on the beat and on the off beat, and then the snare plays on the second and third beats. And then we have a percussion element here at the start to give the first kick more oomph. And then we have like a little percussion element at the end of each second bar. And then we have the tops here to make the drums sound fat and to get loads of movement into the drums. And next we have the bass. So let's have a look at the bass on its own. And then with the automation adjustments. So let's have a look at the melody. So the melody is playing in F minor as well. So we've got an F and it goes here, then here, then here. And then all that's happening here is the LFO rate is being sped up. So if we have a look at Serum here. Now this is just a preset I've made in my Havoc and drum and bass Serum packs. It's called Gnarly. So listen to it. So this is what the preset is. LFO2 is going into EQ there, and then LFO3 is going into the sustain. And then if we just have a look at the FX tab, it's EQ, hyper, distortion, phaser, filter, and then the post-processing, we've got an EQ taking out any of the lows, scooping out a bit of the mid to high range, and then we've got a trash 2 on the multiband setting, working the second and third areas. So we've got it on bit wrench, and then we've got the mix turned down a little bit and this adjusted. And then with the hard limits as well, we've got this adjusted. And then all we've got in there as well is a Saturn on the smashing compressor setting. And that's it. Then we've just got our sidechain here, which you can see here. And then we've got our bass 1 going into a reverb chain here as well. So if you listen, without, with the reverb, and this is just a Valhalla room with the lows EQ'd out. So the sub is just a sustained sub, see here. So let's play the sub on its own. As you can see, it's just a sub that I've designed, which is also available in my sample packs, and it's just got an EQ on it, taking out any of the mid to high ranges, so it doesn't clash with the bass. And then we've just got the effects back in here, and then we do this, so we have this drop happening like this, and then a little bass comes in here, so it's playing this. So that's what that sounds like. And this is just a respace. And this has some Decimort 2 on it, on the action movie setting. And it's got a Trash 2 on it as well, with the hard chip setting and the cracked actor setting. And then it's just got an EQ changing some of the levels. So that just kind of switches up the mood of the track, so it's not just one bass playing throughout the whole thing. So we have the bass playing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 16 bars, and then after 16 bars it keeps playing, but we introduce some of the intro elements back in to make it so that the track keeps moving and doesn't sound boring. So here,
Everything is
and we also have the vocal come in as well here. And then after another 16 bars, we change it up again. So we get rid of the bass and introduce the vocals, which leads up to a nice transition effect into the second verse. And then you can hear it here going into the transition. And then we're just slowly bringing all the elements back in. And the tune pretty much repeats itself up until the second drop. So what I normally do for my second drops is I copy all the information across exactly, and then I'll just go into pattern 5 and mess around with some elements. So in this case, let me play it first. I've kept the first bass for the first half, and then I've introduced a new bass. So you'll hear this. So I always try and make my second bass a little bit more filthy than the first bass, just because I like to surprise people on the second drop. So it's pretty much just the same bass playing a different note. Tried to keep it slightly similar to the first drop, but I haven't done that any changes in the notes. It's just all in F. And then the second bass that come in is one note below, and this is like a foghorn style bass I've managed to create here. Now this is pretty complicated, so I'm not sure how I'm going to show you how exactly I made this. It was basically just experimenting with different presets and things until I made something that sounded pretty cool. So it's just like two sine waves with with all sorts going on here. Try and see for you if you can pause it and have a look. See if you want to recreate this. There's a lot of stuff going on channel 5 on these, so I've like dragged it on here, dragged it on here, like that. Wow. All sorts going on here. And then we've got these as well. This is on 0 and 0 and 0, so it's just this one. This is attached to these two here. So you can hear it kind of like change in pitch as it goes. And then it sounds like that. And then once this 16 bar happens, it just pretty much goes into a copy of the original part of the drop. And then we've got a full tune finished, and then it just ends like this. And then I just cut everything off, put a volume EQ at the end so there's no tail left at the end of the track, and that's the track done. And then on the Mixdown, I've left a little bit of headroom at -3 dB. Normally I'd aim for about -6 dB, but in this case I just went with what sounded best as I was mixing it on the go. And then I've just mastered it here up to 0 dB, and it sounds huge. So that's my breakdown of mine and DJ Youth's track Predictable. It's out now on New Crewcast's sister label, available on all platforms, so go check it out. And if you want to check out my sample packs, there's a link in the description. Also, let me know what kind of videos you want to see from me in the future, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take it easy.